Right, Malaysia needs to dial back fuel subsidies before imposing a carbon tax next year to ensure the system is fairer and more effective. Finance Minister 2, Dato Sri Amir Hamzah Azizan, said subsequently Malaysia would be able to establish mechanisms and frameworks that enable reforms to be sustained in the future. Malaysia has begun the rationalization of fuel subsidies, focusing on RON97 and diesel, and will implement a similar approach for RON95 in the second half of 2025.
Because it doesn't make sense to tax one side, at the same time freely giving away subsidies to petrol and diesel and so on. And the unfortunate task has fallen on me to actually help the nation guide through how do we rationalize subsidies within this form so that we can have a base that we can stand on.
Amir Hamzah said this during the Delivering Malaysia's Energy Transition session, where he was a panelist alongside Deputy Energy Transition and Water Transformation Minister Akmal Nasrullah Muhammad Nasir. The government had announced plans to introduce a carbon tax on iron, steel and energy industries by 2026 as part of Budget 2025. This carbon tax is designed to act as an incentive, encouraging industries to gradually transition from high-emission activities toward greener and more sustainable practices.
But before we can actually embed in, you've got to make sure that your foundation that you build things on is actually quite stable. And as I mentioned to you earlier, there are distortions that are happening within the Malaysian system today because we have provided blanket subsidies as a big issue. So last year we dialed back on diesel and we made diesel float to the market. And immediately when we did that, we saw good behavioral change that's happened.
He said the move also signaled that Malaysia was no longer viewed as a cheap source of fuel for smuggling activities. Meanwhile, during the session, Akmal Nasrullah also highlighted Malaysia's need to reassess the entire energy triangle, including the possibility of adopting nuclear energy to meet its net zero carbon emissions target by 2050. He said when the National Energy Transition Roadmap was launched in 2023, the focus extended beyond energy production and transition to include changing consumption dynamics. The roadmap aims for 70% renewable energy in Malaysia's energy mix by 2050, with solar and hydro as the primary sources and natural gas serving as a transitional fuel.